big question of what happens after graduation, and students are forced to pick a major and pick a field to study in, but then, don't have anywhere to go with that. And I think that's why the Titus Center and that's why franchising is so special, because we're truly set apart from our peers.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big problem. A lot of people have no idea what they want to do after college, and they're kind of caught up in their classes that they're not thinking long term. I know a lot of my friends that have graduated a few years ago that are still looking for a job and just paid like $100,000 for their degree. And it's a huge problem, but a lot of it is because, they don't pick something specific that they're good at that sets them apart from their peers. And I think that's very important.
Welcome to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast, where we talk about all things franchising. Now, here's your host, Dr. John P. Hayes.
Hey, it's John Hayes with another episode of the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast, and I've got two special guests today. They're my students at Palm Beach Atlantic University, and they study franchising through the Titus Center for Franchising, and I thought, first time I've ever done this since I've started the podcast, wouldn't it be fun to have some students come on and talk about their experiences and to talk about franchising and talk about where they're headed in their careers. They're close to graduation. Nobody, or almost nobody, comes to college to study franchising. That used to be 100% true at Palm Beach Atlantic, but in recent years, we have had several children of our advisory board members who came specifically to PBA because they could earn a concentration in franchising, and now students at PBA can earn a major in entrepreneurship in franchising. So let's begin with that. Haley and Sam, I'd like you, Haley can go first and introduce yourself. Where are you from? Why did you come to PBA, and what were you going to study?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Haley Arruda. I am actually getting my MBA at PBA and graduate in the spring with that. I transferred to Palm Beach Atlantic 3 years ago. I had gone to a community college in Rhode Island and just wanted a change of scenery. I found PBA by accident and, just like you mentioned, was not studying franchising. I started out studying economics and management and finance and anything else you can imagine, and then ended up in franchising. So
great. And Sam, how about you?
Yeah, so my name is Sam Vander Heide, and I'm from Spring Lake, Michigan, which is close to Grand Rapids. If you don't know where that is, it's a lot colder there. That's for sure. I came to PBA mostly because my friend who's a couple years older than me was at PBA, and I came and visited him a couple times, and that was enough to bring me down as well. I found franchising my sophomore year. I'm an accounting major, and I decided to spice that up a little bit, complement it with franchising. So I was looking for something, and someone recommended franchising, and sure enough, without knowing much about it, I declared it.
So Haley, how did it happen that you discovered franchising?
yeah, so it's kind of against all odds. I was a junior when I discovered franchising, so I didn't have any room to take an elective. I didn't have really any room in my schedule at all. But I had heard about it. I had seen, other students doing it, and ultimately had a friend who's pretty famous in the Titus Center, Delaney Metzer, studying franchising, and really just encouraged me to sign up for the first class. So I moved around my schedule and took it. And after the first class, I knew that that was where I was supposed to be.
And how did you know that? What is it about franchising? And this is for both of you. You can talk about it. Nobody plans on a career in franchising. I certainly had no clue that I would get into franchising until I wrote a book about franchising. And that was quite accidental, or, nothing's really accidental, because I believe very strongly God has a plan for each of our lives. And we're going to end up where we're supposed to be in that plan that God has for us. So franchising was inevitable. But what is it about franchising, Haley, that you took a course, and it's an elective course, which I always like the students who take electives, because you don't have to take my class, so you don't have to be here. And that keeps the number of students down a little bit as well, but you tend to get better students because they want to be there. Well, what is it about franchising that was so magnetic?
Yeah, so I come from a business background, and I've always loved business. My mom owns a store in Connecticut, so I was fortunate enough to grow up there. But I spent the first few years of college really searching for my place in business. Like I mentioned, I tried pretty much every field and didn't love any of it. I'm very operationally minded, so, entrepreneurship, creativity really isn't my strong suit. So hearing about franchising and hearing, between the system and the operations and all the things that I love kind of just clicking in one place.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Sam? What's magical about it, if that's a good word?
Yeah, so for me, it was kind of just going through the Titus Center courses and really getting my hands on it and what it's all about. And I love the freedom that it creates. And I've always kind of been like Haley with a little more entrepreneurial mindset, with my uncle owning a business as well and working in that. And and then I had a couple internships that you provided me with. And then just from there, my love for franchising really grew until where I'm now in the process of potentially buying my own franchise.
So most students who graduate with a college degree do not end up in that field. They do something else. I have 2 degrees in journalism, and I have a PhD in American Studies. The franchising was never mentioned in any of my classrooms. Other people are like that as well. And when people come to college, you'd hope that, particularly with the amount of money you're going to pay today for a college education, you hope this is going to equip you to go do something with your career that's not only going to make you money, which is difficult to do today, but it's going to be satisfying, something that you really love to do. And maybe that, I don't understand accounting or finance, so that wouldn't be my area at all. But international business, marketing, a little bit of management, those are more attractive to me. But even if you get a degree in marketing, the most popular degree in business, and arguably the easiest degree in business, even if that's your major, there are millions of other people who have degrees in marketing. What makes you think you're going to get hired, or this is going to position you for a career? So what do you say about that? Were you in that situation, or do you know other students at PBA or elsewhere who maybe aren't thinking beyond graduation? Okay, I have a finance degree. That's great. Now who's going to hire you?
Yeah, I would say most students are in that place. The big question of what happens after graduation, and students are forced to pick a major and pick a field to study in, but then, don't have anywhere to go with that. And I think that's why the Titus Center and that's why franchising is so special, because we're truly set apart from our peers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a big problem. A lot of people have no idea what they want to do after college, and they're kind of caught up in their classes that they're not thinking long term. I know a lot of my friends that have graduated a few years ago that are still looking for a job and just paid like $100,000 for their degree. And it's a huge problem, but a lot of it is because they don't pick something specific that they're good at that sets them apart from their peers. And I think that's very important to do.
One of the things that I think people do not understand about franchising, and most people don't know anything about franchising, which is unfortunate in spite of the success of franchising and how long it's been developed in America. And we lead the world in franchising, but they don't understand that I can have a degree in marketing or accounting, and there are several thousand franchisor companies and several thousand multi-unit franchisee companies that need an accountant who has franchise experience. Did that ever click with the two of you, that this opens the door to all kinds of opportunities that you don't get just by getting a degree in management, for example?
Yeah, that's kind of the place that I was in before I discovered franchising. I was just getting a degree in business administration, which is probably the most general degree that you can get, which is actually why I originally started my graduate degree. I wanted to specialize or set myself apart in some way. Yeah. And then joining franchising, it's so clear that it's not just becoming a franchisee or a franchisor, but there's so many other things. In our classes alone, we have people that want to be franchise attorneys. We have people that are dance majors, public relations majors. It's not just aligned to those two things.
Yeah. Sam?
Yeah, I think it's amazing how there's like 4,000 brands, franchising brands, and not a lot of people talk about that. And that just opens up so many different jobs or opportunities within there. And having the franchising part of that definitely does open up a lot more opportunities.
We've had so many students who have come through in the last 8.5 years that I have built Titus Center and have been running it and have taught the classes, principally the only professor to teach the classes up to this point. Now, fortunately, we're getting help in these areas. But so many, the one benefit of that is I've known every student and I know their stories. And oftentimes students will come and say, I want to be in management, but I don't know what part of management. So I'm getting a management degree, but I have no particular expertise. Then they get a concentration in franchising, and that opens the doors from all of these companies that need somebody who has management in their background, has management experience, but maybe wants to work in HR. Who would have thought of that? And I'm thinking of Bronwyn Rozelle, who went with United Franchise Group, started out in franchise development, but ends up in the HR area. Other students have similar stories like that, where they had no idea they would end up working in HR. Bronwyn's parents were worried that she'd get a concentration in franchising and she'd be flipping burgers over at McDonald's. They actually said that to her, that they didn't want her to get a concentration in franchising because they didn't expect her to go to work for McDonald's after graduating from college. So a lot of people, they don't know, particularly when you're in college, you don't know what these opportunities are. And one of the things that I've done through the Titus Center is to bring in speakers from different concepts where they can explain to students, here's what we do, and you never even knew that was an opportunity for you. Also, students discover that, I think, through internships. So let's talk about internships. You've both had multiple internships. You're only required to do one, but I love it when a student, I think our Sam, you've done 7, not all in franchising, and we have a student, a graduate, Ashlyn Damaris, who works with Home Franchise Concepts, who did 5 franchise internships before she settled on what she found she would really like to do. Haley, talk about your internship opportunities.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a lot of these connections are made through the speakers, and the value that the Titus Center provides is the connections that we make. So my first actual hands-on franchise experience was over the last year. There was a franchise opening on our block in West Palm Beach, and I kind of, drove by every day, saw, coming soon signs. So I stopped in. I wanted to talk to the owner naturally. I was curious about it. Yep. Wanted to read his FTT. Never got to do that, but that's okay. And I was just so interested in the concept that I was going to work there as a store clerk and just, have an hourly job to fill my time. Well, in a few days, I realized that, like many franchisees, they are starting a business but lack a lot of the business intelligence. So I joined on as that franchisee's general manager, was able to work with them for 6 months, help them get it up and running. And then this week, they just announced they're opening their second location.
Great.
So that was my first, I guess you can call it, internship.
Yeah.
Now I'm with a different brand that is really emerging as a franchisor. So there's 10 locations, 5 of which are franchised. And with them, right now there's 2 stores, one that's opening this week and one that's opening next month. So I've been in the process of just, learning what it's taken to get them from a small single location brand to hopefully all across South Florida in the next couple of months, and just how that whole process works for them. So, that's probably the most valuable thing, and hopefully another internship for the spring semester coming up soon.
Good. Sam, what?
Yeah, so my journey started at Happy and Healthy Products, where I worked there, and I did a lot of the legal side of things, worked at the FDD, did some sales, I kind of got a overview of just everything. And then from there, I went to Chick-fil-A, where I know a lot of people get hired for PBA there. And I went through that program, which was honestly very impactful to me. I got to work a lot with the operations side of things. They assigned me a project, a capstone, where I had to increase the customer service at Chick-fil-A, which I didn't really think was possible at the time, but, you can always improve. So that was my project. And then if you passed all that, they sent you out to Atlanta to meet with corporate. And that was really eye-opening to really get my hands on and see how the best are doing it. And then I had a few other internships not in franchising directly, but I use my internships a lot to figure out what I want to do, moving forward. So I tried a sales internship back home in Grand Rapids, where they had me doing sampling and going door to door, and really, I found out very quickly that wasn't for me. And then I had a couple accounting internships. I did a tax season with Bridgewater Tax and Consulting, which is in Jupiter, which was cool to see that side of things. And then I recently had a remote one with a firm out of Virginia where I did a lot of bookkeeping for them. And I also had a political internship that we won't get into details too much at that one, but I just wanted to really see what that kind of stuff was as well. So.
No, good. So I'm glad you've had those opportunities, and it gives you some insight to the type of career you would like to have. So, Haley, you're going to have an MBA, and what was your undergraduate degree?
Business administration.
Oh, that's right. You said, and then franchising. So if you could say right now, okay, here's the career I want. Would it be a franchisor, franchisee? If it's, or would it be an employee of one or the other? Or would it be as a supplier or working for a supplier? Have you thought that far ahead that here's where you'd like to be maybe in 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I graduate in May, so that's something that I've been putting a lot of thought into. And I've spent a lot of time on the franchise operations side. So kind of the goal is to hopefully dive into franchise development for a few years. And then the long goal is to own a franchise. I'm also a licensed realtor in the state of Florida, so potentially even a supplier in that way.
Yeah. Okay. So starting out in franchise development, lots of opportunities there, probably more opportunities in franchise development than in operations as well. There are a lot of good opportunities, but they might want you to have more experience. But even in franchise development, where you're selling franchises, sometimes a prospective franchisee is going to ask, well, have you owned a franchise? They like to know, I'm buying this from someone who has done what I'm about to do. So that sometimes will work against younger people, but there are lots of opportunities in franchise development where you can get a foothold and rapidly move through the channels. I think you're going to have a lot of options there. And if you become a franchisee, do you already know what kind of business you want, which brand or where you want to be?
Yeah, no, definitely not which brand yet. I'm still narrowing that down. I think I'm definitely leading towards the service concept rather than with, any of the alternatives.
Yeah. But okay, good. And Sam, where are you headed? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I got a lot to figure out over the next couple of months. I graduate this May as well. I'm planning on getting my CPA and start taking those tests as soon as I graduate. So that's going to be a lot of studying over the next couple of months. But I just signed on with a broker, and I'm already going through that process right now. And I've actually narrowed it down to, I think, the one I want to go with. So we'll see how that happens. I might turn into Luke next semester, constantly having stuff going on and Very busy man. But I don't know. I'm trying to decide whether I jump in that right now or I wait a couple of years, gain some more experience. Both sides has the pros and cons, but for me, and right now, I don't have much risk going on. I don't have a family, a wife, and all that. So right now is not a bad time to really jump into it. So a lot to figure out.
So in the last 8.5 years, 11 of our graduates have become franchisees, and almost all of them did it before they graduated, like Luke with Up Closets, and his brother before him who did an after-school tutoring franchise with his sister, and like Hogan McFadden, who owned 2 franchises before he graduated from PBA. Everybody survived through that. Luke certainly has. Luke is doing really well, but also is fortunate to have his sister working with him in Up Closets. I think the partnerships have worked out better for people. it is very time consuming. One of my, in fact, he would be the 12th. I don't think I included Christian, who once he became a franchisee, discovered he couldn't show up for class anymore. And that didn't bode well. So, but he's doing very, very well building his franchise. All of these students bought service businesses because they're lower costs. The risk is less. Some of them, as you have, hear from franchisors such as Thomas Scott, who Luke is a franchisee of Up Closets, owned by Home Run Franchising, that being Thomas Scott. And his philosophy is the sooner you become a business owner, the better, because you're not married, because you don't have a lot of obligations, because you don't have as much risk. And that may be, I would not say that that's for everybody. That getting through college, and particularly from a parent's point of view, get through college, get the degree, and then strike out to go do something like buy a franchise. But half of my students have not done it that way, and they have not regretted. Although, I mean, sometimes maybe Christian would wish he had more time to finish a degree, but he's having a great time building his business, and this gives him a huge leg up. You're hardly 20 years old or into your early 20s, and you're a business owner. Not that it's easy, because we know that it's not, but this gives you opportunities that you're not going to get someplace else, even though you didn't come to PBA to study franchising, which is just remarkable to me that it has worked out for so many people. Another advantage from the Titus Center is that many of our advisory board members, and usually they are always advisory board members, invite our students to come and participate in a convention, or in the case of Neighborly, they call it their annual reunion, or it could be a conference or an expo. And both of you have had numerous opportunities to go on these trips. So I want you to talk about that. You couldn't have expected that when you came as a college student. Very few, I don't know of another university that offers those kinds of opportunities to their students. So Haley, you've gone on several. How have these figured in to your story at PBA?
Yeah, absolutely. So the last 2 years, I've been able to attend the IFPG annual retreat in Hollywood, Florida. And actually, we've interned there. So being on the back end side of how they run their retreat and how they can host their consultants. And then most recently, I've attended the Neighborly Reunion in Tennessee, Springboard in Pennsylvania, and hopefully one more coming up in the next couple months. And just the opportunity to talk to people both in the field and even at the C-suite level of those businesses is just so life-changing. I mean, for us, it's kind of hard to envision what it looks like that far out, but hearing just the opportunities that franchising presents, like you mentioned, nobody at this age plans on being in franchising. I mean, at least none of the people that we spoke to. So it's just really refreshing, really inspiring. And I know, Sam, I'll let you touch on Tennessee, but that was an incredible trip.
How was Neighborly, Sam?
Oh yeah, I mean that was an awesome experience. It was short and sweet, but I mean just the opportunities that we had and just that like 24 hours we were there was just incredible. I mean just staying at a very nice resort, being able to meet with franchisees, seeing some incredible speakers like Jesse Cole, and then meeting with the executive team of Neighborly, where they're giving you advice, connection opportunity. I mean, it was a really special opportunity for us. Yeah, and at Neighborly, wasn't that reunion about 3,000 franchisees? Oh, yeah. There's 4,000 people probably there. Yeah, just amazing. And of course, I love Neighborly because I was in franchising for about 10 years before I met Don Dwyer, who was the catalyst for what's now known as Neighborly. Don was an unusual franchisor. You would have loved him. He loved young people and getting young people into business early on, like Thomas Scott preaches. And Don started out with Rainbow International carpet cleaning and dyeing.
We used to dye carpets. We don't do that anymore, at least not that I know of. But that's what Rainbow was all about. And that was his first business, a trades type of business, a service business, inexpensive business. And Don would give you the formula and would actually do some of the training. He actually did this work himself until he launched the Rainbow franchise in 1980. And then along the way, he decided that he was going to bring in complementary businesses like Mr. Electric and AirServe, which is an air conditioning and heating, Glass Doctor eventually. Today, Neighborly has something like 35 brands. Everything you need to have done at your home, Neighborly franchises would provide. So for you to be able to go and meet those kinds of people, Haley, do you have any stories from Neighborly, particularly about franchisees who you met and how they might have inspired you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so Sam and I got to sit in on a panel of 4 of the franchisees from across the different brands. I think when you think of home service brands, owning a Mr. Electric or Mr. Rooter, you think, a plumber has to open Mr. Rooter. But actually, some of the franchisees that we met, a woman that owns, I think, 17 Mr. Electrics. No background. She said that she asked her technicians about the stuff that they're doing and selling. So I think it's not limited to just being in that field, but that's the glory of franchising, is that these people are so successful of something that they would have previously had no idea about.
Right. Sam, did you meet franchisees who inspired you?
Yeah, I mean, that panel for sure opened my eyes to a lot of how everyone finds their way to franchising in their own unique way, and just the growth opportunity within those brands. And just hearing like 14, people opening like 5 different brands within Neighborly and having like 5 each it's just really cool to see where you can take it.
That for you must have opened your horizons, your thoughts about it's. Most people aspire to own one business and they would think that's a great accomplishment. But what if you became a multi-unit operator and you had 25 Mr. Electrics, for example, or you became a multi-brand operator and you have Mr. Electric and Mr. Rooter Plumbing and Glass Doctor as well. I'm having trouble thinking of all those brands. It's not that they don't have enough of them. Lawn care. They have a mosquito killing franchise as well. If you combined all those and controlled all of that in your town or your county, this is a fabulous opportunity that people just have no idea that these things are possible through franchising. So I'm glad you do at such an early age. So how about when you told your parents you were going to get a concentration in franchising, did you have any feedback? Now, if they're in business, okay, they may know about franchising, but are any negatives from that?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't even think my parents really knew what franchising was. So I kind of had to explain and tell them, along with a lot of people who ask what I'm going to do, out of college.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were like, hey, they looked into it a little bit and thought it was a cool opportunity. And yeah. So
Haley?
Yeah, pretty much when I tell anyone that's not in the franchise community that I'm studying franchising in college, they kind of laugh and, bring up McDonald's. So that's a little bit frustrating, but I'm thankful that my parents have a little bit of a business background. They still were kind of confused why I wanted to work in a, quick service restaurant business for the rest of my life. But now seeing the opportunities that I've had and the connections that I've made, and especially the job offers that I've gotten, their minds have changed. But originally, I would agree.
Yeah, it gets people's attention. So what has the Titus Center not done? And you might be timid about it, but you don't have to be, because I'm not the director of the Titus Center any longer. I continue to teach franchise courses, been around a long time. I've taught for franchising for several universities and continue to help other universities establish franchise programs. But what did we not do? Or what could the Titus Center do in the future that would attract more students? We're a very small university with about 3,500 students, and I believe maybe, and Haley, you would probably know better than I know, maybe 100 students are in either the concentration franchising or getting a degree in entrepreneurship and franchising. So how do we get more? What does the Titus Center need to do in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so you're right. We have 94 students in the Titus Center, which is incredible. I think it's about 10% of our business school, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, just from a student's perspective, I'm in my last franchise class right now, and I would say we don't have enough time. I wish, I joined the franchise program in my junior year, so I definitely didn't have a lot of time, but,
No.
Additional programs like learning about franchise law or franchise specialties maybe would be something I'd enjoy.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I would say, especially for the freshmen, kind of enlighten them more about like what franchising is, like somehow get guest speakers to talk to not like franchising students like you do, like the Titus Center does a great job of, but like trying to get them to go into like, just your general business classes so that they can learn about it. Because I didn't learn about it till sophomore year, and I know a lot of people join late and then don't even have enough time to finish it. So I'd say that, and then continuing to add more classes within, because franchising, like we were talking about earlier, it spans across a lot of different sectors.
Yeah, and I don't know what else we can do to get the students who live at Palm Beach Atlantic University or come to the university on an almost daily basis. What are we not doing to get them to recognize? We put out these huge red flags a couple times a year. You would think that would get their attention. We have 2 board meetings where we have almost 100 franchise executives coming to our campus from all over the country twice a year. And students are invited to come to these board meetings, as the 2 of you have done, and you sit down next to Ray Titus, one of the world's largest franchisors. Where are you going to get that opportunity somewhere else? But we're not getting that word out successfully. I like that we have 10% of the business school. Shouldn't we have 25% of the business school? Really, what are you doing getting a degree in business if you don't know about franchising? Because the opportunities, a lot, we know what the unemployment rate is right now. And Gen Zs are about 50% of the unemployed. So this is not good for people graduating. But that's not the case for people in franchising. I don't know anyone with experience in franchising who hasn't gotten a job offer. I think that's probably going to slow down now to some extent, but franchising is still booming. So what do we need to do to get more students?
Yeah, I know for both of us, we found franchising through word of mouth, through other students that were in the Titus Center. So I think that's the greatest thing. I know, little sneak peek, but I work for the Titus Center, and we're working on some things to bring the community of students together. So hopefully for the spring semester, we're going to be rolling out some things so all of the franchising students can connect. So hopefully that will increase the word of mouth.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, word of mouth is definitely the best way to do it. Yeah. Just getting the Titus Center students to spread the word or whatever is always the best way to do it. Organic growth is always the best.
Yeah, most students discover us through word of mouth. When I hear the stories, as I always ask students, how did you find Titus Center? When particularly, first week in class, and it's, my roommate is studying franchising, and she told me I'd be crazy not to do this. So, yeah, short of paying students to go get me more students, I don't know what else I can do. But bringing students into the Titus Center as interns, one of the payoffs there is, let's organize events that will attract more students to what we're doing at the Titus Center, and I hope that continues to happen. Well, thank you both for taking time to talk with me about this. Never did this before, never featured students in the podcast, and I think this may be a great way to get the word out. So make sure you both promote this once it comes out and get it out to not only your friends, but to other people, other Gen Zs who are out there wondering, what am I going to do with my life? And maybe franchising is a good answer for. So thank you both. Any closing remarks? Please feel free.
No, I think we're good.
No. Haley, anything else?
No, I think just make all the connections that you can and just, never stop.
Great. Well, thank you very much for doing this, and I look forward to seeing you on campus very soon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the Franchise Hot Seat Podcast with Dr. John P. Hayes. Tune in next time for more conversation around all things franchising.